Hello, hello, hello! Welcome to episode 164 of the Confident Live Marketing Show. And in today's episode, we're talking about how to boost your live video engagement with branding. So loads of cool things today. We're talking about engagement, branding, taking things to the next level. And it's not me today that's going to be talking about this because, well, I'm not an expert when it comes to branding. And so I've brought in two amazing people and I'm so excited that they're coming on today. And it is Ana and Fuljens. How are you doing? Great to see you.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
Thank you, Ian.
Thank you so much.
Well, I'm excited that you're here because I've been watching your shows for ages. And I just learned so much. Just the other day, when was it? Like 3 days ago, I learned that you could change the opacity of layers in Ecamm just with a mouse flick, and so you learn these things all the time, which is great. So if you're watching the replay, welcome. Let us know where in the world you're watching from, and if you've just joined us live, I can see we've starting to get some live viewers. Welcome. Let me know where you are watching from, and if you've got any thoughts or ideas or questions for Ana and Fuljens today about branding and engagement, that would be awesome. I can see Dr. Elo is in the house. Great to see Dr. Elo. And we've got Katie.
In the house.
Katie Simpson is here as well. Power couple in the house, he says. And Steve Worthy is here. OMG, it's Ana and Fuljens. I know them, love you guys. So this is awesome.
Love you too.
And also watching on LinkedIn, we've got Garin Mulani is here.
Garin.
Great to see you. So we've got a great crowd. So let us know where are you dialing in from today, Ana and Fuljens?
We are dialing in from upstate New York.
Where it's currently 60 degrees, no snow. So today is going to be a beautiful, beautiful day.
It is. Yeah.
It's
and we're capturing some video later, so it's perfect for it too.
Perfect weather for that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good. That's what you want. Yeah, you don't want. Yeah, it's a blue sky here. It's not always like that near Manchester in the UK, but we're not doing too badly. So I think it is time to press record on the podcast recorder and get on with the show. So let's do that. We'll be with you just after this. Well, hello, welcome to episode 164 of the Confident Live Marketing Podcast. And in today's episode, we're talking about how you can boost your engagement with branding. And I've got the fabulous Ana and Fuljens on. Let's get on with it right now.
Welcome to the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Anderson Gray.
Helping you level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of confident live video.
Optimize your mindset and communication and increase your confidence in front of the camera.
Get confident with the tech and gear.
And get confident with the content and marketing.
Together, we can go live!
Hello. Welcome to the Confident Live Marketing Show. This is the show where we help you level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of confident live video. Now, we've talked a little bit about engagement and a little bit about branding before on the show, but we haven't really combined the two. And Ana and Fuljens, my guests today, are experts in this. They do amazing things. I've loved watching their shows on Ecamm, and so we're going to be talking about that today. But just to let you know, next week, so this is next Friday if you're listening to the podcast, or next Tuesday if you're watching live, well, we're going to be doing a week on Web 3.0. What on earth is that? Oh my goodness, we're getting all geeky. Well, we are going to be talking about Web 3.0. I'm going to be giving you my thoughts on Tuesday, a skeptic's guide to what Web 3.0 is. And then on Thursday, I've got a guest. We've got a lawyer called Mitch Jackson talking about Web 3.0 and the metaverse. So the future is here. It's all kind of like weird stuff, but this is stuff that I know a lot of people are talking about in the marketing space, so I thought it was time that we looked at it here on the Confident Live Marketing Show. But enough of all of that. It is time to bring in my special guests for today, who are Ana, Gil and Fuljens Henry. They are co-hosts for 2 live shows for Ecamm Live, the Ecamm Network News, that's ENN, where they update the community on what is happening in the world of Ecamm Live, and BuildingBlocks, where they teach how to design professional-looking graphics using Ecamm Live. Welcome to the show, Ana and Fuljens. It's great to have you here.
We're trying to come in as the thumbnail.
Yeah, podcast listeners will not know that, but basically, yeah, we have the little, yeah, there we go. We've got that on the screen, and then you need to do it again. Let's try it again. So we'll go back to the. Now you need to get ready. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. You're not wearing your purple outfits though. Well, that's pretty good. If you're listening to the podcast, you're going to have to look at the video. That was hilarious. But welcome to the show. It's great to have you here. As I said, I love your shows, and just all the kind of, you know, it's funny talking about branding and talking about the technical side of things. Like you were talking about LUTs the other day. That should not be an interesting topic, but it is. You make it so much fun with your smiles and your laughter as well. And I just love what you do, and the attention to detail and taking things to the next level. So I'd love to know, how did you get into all of this? Because, yeah, just to give us a little kind of potted history of how you got into what you're doing today.
Okay. So, all right. Well, there's so many things that we're doing today, right? But when it comes to branding and designing, we got into it one fine day. Go ahead and finish it.
Well, especially during the pandemic, Ana was doing her thing and I was doing my own thing. And we got introduced to Ecamm probably around the same time, right? Mm-hmm. April 2020.
We actually were looking at the days we introduced the Ecamm. You did it first, and then I signed up.
You joined afterwards,
like
right?
2 days later.
And then, of course, we became members of the amazing Ecamm Live community, and also the Doc Rocks Let's Get Live VIP group. But for myself, I was not, in front of the camera. I was behind the camera doing productions for, other entities. And Vlogmas season came around in December, and I started getting the FOMO because I'm just so moved by all these amazing content creators doing their thing in front of the camera. And I was like, you know what? Let me give it a shot. So this was December 8th, 2020. I said, you know what? I'm going to click on that go live button in front of the camera and showcase some overlays and some stuff I'm doing Ecamm with text overlays and stuff like that. And it went well. I felt really good about myself. But there was a particular, a person by the name of Officially Unofficial that was on that live stream and left a message, a comment on the live stream saying, hey, I'm a fellow student of Bradley Vincent as well, because I was inspired by Bradley Vincent, and that's how it got me into like designing overlays and stuff like that. So 2 days later, somebody shared Officially Unofficial's live stream in the group, and I click on it, and I see this beautiful woman in front of me, and the connection was just there from the right there.
The wires almost like exploded.
And then fast forward to January 2021, we got to know each other a little bit better more. We're involved in Clubhouse groups and things of that nature, because Clubhouse was like the thing around that time, mm-hmm. right? And there was a time where you were working on a Officially Unofficial show, mm-hmm. and you just wanted some feedback on particular overlays, yes. lower thirds, mm-hmm. and then you were like, and I was like, hey, we can do this in Ecamm, mm-hmm. right? And then we just got in Ecamm, and we just started doing things just like out of the box, where we're grouping the overlays together and we are assigning animations to it. And then we just like, whoa, our minds were blown. And we're like, we have to share this information right now. Let's just go live together and share this with the community, right?
And that was it.
And then it's just like, we just blew so many minds around that time, mm-hmm. right? And then one thing led to another. Next thing you know, we're talking with Ecamm marketing, and we're doing shows together.
Yeah, it has the power of experimentation.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is. I can't believe, I didn't realize that you two had met through Ecamm as well. So that's amazing. Just shows the Ecamm family side of things is amazing. And I think experimenting with and fiddling around with things is so important, isn't it? And you know, Fuljens, you just pressed the go live button. Like, how did you feel just before pressing that button? Did you feel nervous? Like, how were you feeling? What was going through your mind?
Yeah. Oh yeah. You know, and then thankfully what helped me is the inspiration during the Vlogmas period. There were some particular people, you know, just like, you know, just drilling it in, be yourself, just be you, and the rest will come. And if someone likes, you know, how you present yourself, being yourself, you'll be good to go. If they don't like it, there's other creators for somebody to view, right? So I took the deepest breath before clicking that go live button. And then if we go back and play that video, you could actually literally hear me take another deep sigh before I say anything.
Yeah, but the thing is that you do it so smoothly that nobody will notice it, because you don't go like a big sigh. You just go like very nice, like a nice calm breath and in and out, right? Like nobody will notice it. Even if you go back and check that out, nobody will notice this thing, Mr. Smooth.
Yeah, but I was nervous.
No, well, I'm glad you said that. Makes us all feel better. But I think like that kind of like highlights two things, like the power or the importance of breathing. Like, breathe. If you're nervous, like breathing is really important, and also the importance of a safe space. So you went live, presumably in the Ecamm community, or you'd seen everyone going live and look, this is okay. It's okay to be you. So a lot of people, when they go live for the first time, they're just so worried about being judged and making a mistake. And that was less of an issue for you because you were doing it in a safe place, which is cool. So
yeah, and then just thankful for like the supportive community. And then Ana was on that stream also being very supportive, and that made me feel better. And it's just like instantly, it's just like the moment that, you know, they just start connecting with you, they join you live, the support was just there automatically, you know. So that was great. And it is a feel good moment. And then after that, I was like, you know what, this isn't so bad after all. And I just got more used to going live more often.
Yeah. Definitely. That's cool. I'm just looking at the comments. We've got some fabulous comments here. We've got Garen is saying, this is before. I'm not sure which is live and which is the thumbnail now, which is funny. And Jeff C is in the house. Great to see you, Jeff. Hope you're doing well. Ecamm is amazing. Yes, we agree with you. There are other live video tools available, just to let you know, but we obviously love Ecamm Live on this show. Micah Flemons is here watching on YouTube. Good morning, viewers. Great to see you. Jeff is saying, I still feel nervous. It's pushing through the nerves that is the key. And I still get nervous too. I think the thing is, it's like turning those nerves into excitement. So it's turning that fear and turning it into excitement. So yeah, Ana, how about you? What was your first live experience? Can you remember it, and how did it go?
Okay, so yeah, so I have my own show that's called Officially Unofficial TV that I produce, and is around mental health issues and helping parents navigate through the parenting skills and all that great stuff. And I went live during the pandemic to help out all the parents who were stuck with their children, right? And the things that we should do and things like that. And still now to this day, I still get nervous clicking that go live button. It has not gone away. I just have learned to manage it. And so, but once we are in, it's just like the anxiety of clicking the live button and going live. And then once you're in it, you're like, that's it. I mean, like, there's nothing else I can do. We just push through. So it's like, it goes that way. And so it felt like, I felt anxious before, and then during it was okay. Because now I was already there. I was delivering a message. And at that point, it turned into my viewers and not so much on me concentrating on like, oh my gosh, me. It was just delivering the message to my viewers.
That's amazing. I think we could have so done with you when I didn't realize about your show when the kids were climbing the walls and we were trying to homeschool them. We could have done with you. But like, I think in your case, Ana, it's, you know, a lot of people, what they need to do is get themselves out of the way and focus on their audience. That is why you're going live. You're not going live for you necessarily. It's for your audience. And I think in your case, this was something that was so important for your audience. Do you think that really helped you because you knew this was really valuable to your audience, and so you could get out the way and focus on your audience? Do you think that helped?
Yes, definitely. Definitely it helped because once I pushed through it and I did my introduction of myself and what the show is going to be about, it was all about, okay, this is it. I'm going to help you out. So having a goal in moving that and just not taking like, okay, what are they going to think of me? At that point, that's it, right? You have content, you prepare for your content, and you have a goal to deliver that to your viewers. And then they receiving it nicely and then commenting back how this is helping them out.
Yeah.
That is just the best. So it just keeps, it keeps making it easier.
Yeah.
Definitely. Thank you for that. Katie Simpson is here and says, one fine day and the rest is history. Totally. Absolutely. So before we get on to engagement and branding, which is the main subject of the show, I do love to ask my guests this because everyone has like a different answer to this. Why for you guys, why do you embrace live video? Why do you keep doing it? What's the point?
You want to go?
For me, and maybe it's the same for you, is the live engagement, the real-time experience, right? There's nothing else like it, right? And there's one thing to create like a perfectly pre-recorded production, right? But when you're live, it's like anything goes. It's not scripted. It's not, of course there's planning and there's like, content planning and preparation, all those things like that. But, in terms of, how you're presenting yourself, it's just like, you're just being yourself, you're on camera and you're talking to your audience and engaging with them in real time, right? You can't do that versus, of course you can do like premieres and interact with them in the chat room, but there's nothing too. Like, that's fun too. But just the real-time interaction, the real-time engagement, and it's different from, people catching the replay and then trying to go back and having them comment and interacting with them that way. But you're there with them real time. And if people, and that also creates a FOMO moment too, right? So like people miss out on it. Sorry, he should have been here, right? What about you?
For me, it's the same. Is the adrenaline of all of it. You don't know what's going to happen on a live show, and that for me is very thrilling. To kind of like, okay, what's going to happen today? Is ever going to be a mute, or are we, like, are the people going to be coming up with new ideas for us to try later? What are we going to learn today? So it's a teaching moment the entire time, and for me, that's really, really exciting.
Right. And it helps you not take yourself too seriously also, because like, for example, last Friday morning on our Building Block show, we were talking about like symptoms that you get when you go live, right? Because maybe this replaced like kind of like the nerves, or it's kind of like counteracting the nerves. Like we get sweaty, right? Like,
your nose is not running.
I'm starting to feel like a little bit of runny nose, and I'm like, why is my nose running whenever I get live? Had this been a pre-recorded session or something like that, I think it would have been totally fine, right? But the moment you go live, you click that live button, we start to get all these symptoms, right? But you can't help just to make light of it. You have no choice. It can't let it ruin the stream,
right?
Yeah.
So you just like now have to come up with a nice and smooth way of wiping your nose when it's dripping.
What we need now is like I've got all these sound effects, like I've got this one, but it's what we need. We need like a nose blowing sound effect. So for next time, I'm going to try and find that. But that's so true. Like, I'd love to know for you watching live or the replay, do you have any kind of weird symptoms? Like when you go live, do you do like weird things happen? I'm trying to think if anything happens to me. You've got me thinking. I at the end of my broadcast, I think I was saying this in the chat on your last show. I usually feel really quite tired and I have to lie down because I've just given so much, And I remember this, like I trained as a professional singer, and I remember the same thing. I got this high, like I was so excited, and then my energy levels would just then drop afterwards because I'd given so much. So yeah, it is weird, isn't it? Jeff is saying there is nothing else like live to connect with people across the world. And Steve is saying, yes, the noise whip is a must when you go live. So I love what you say. Now, well, for me, one of the advantages in going live is like I'm a recovering perfectionist. And so one of the reasons I love live is that it's never going to be perfect. So I actually get the stuff done. When I wrote blogs or when I did pre-recorded video, I could never actually finish the thing because I was trying to get it to be perfect. Whereas with this, I'm going to be stumbling over my words, I'll make mistakes, but I'm getting the content done, which is really important. But when it comes to engagement and comments, and we've got some amazing people watching live, and it's great to see the comments coming through. You need to have people watching you live. How do we boost the number of people watching us? Not that we need to get hundreds and hundreds of people. You know, I think you can still have a great time with a small number of people commenting. But have you got any tips on, before we move on to engagement, how do we actually get the people watching our live show in the first place?
Yeah, I feel it's about community. I feel if you have a community and you're building trust and you're are there to support community members, and also, aside from that, have your own channels and promote your content on your channels as well. And if it's something that resonates with people and they come in, then you give them exactly what you're saying that you're going to give them, right? So if I'm going to say, hey, today we're going to give you 3 tips for you to get through the day after your children come home from school. Right. So when they come, like, you know what, I want to see that. And then when they come to the broadcast, you are actually going to give them those 3 tips. Right. Of that. So you start building trust. So when they are talking about those tips with their friends, which is going to happen, or they're posting about it on social media, they say, yeah, I went to this place and they talked about this and it was great. So you're building credibility in your community and then outside on your channels, and then they take it somewhere else. And then that's how you start bringing in people, in my opinion. What about you?
Yeah, no. And also, as the cliche goes, if you build it, they will come, right? So just do it. Just go live. Just do it, right? Because you could start off with 0 and 1. And listen, don't let that defeat you, right? Don't let that be a defeating moment. Just continue to be consistent and continue to get better at your craft. And in return, you will start to build your community, build your tribe.
No, I love that. It's slightly unfortunate that Facebook and YouTube and all the live channels, they give you this big number on the top left-hand side, and sometimes that can be put you off. Like, it's either going to be like too high, and you go, "Oh my goodness, like it's 100 people watching me," or it's like 1 or 0, and you think nobody loves me.
No, for real. But to that, Ian, for real, like how the Stream Deck, you can add your viewers count, or on the Ecamm, the window, it presents. I'm like, Fuljens, I don't want to see that count. I don't want to see the count on that. I just want to deliver, like, if I was delivering to like 1 person who was going to listen, because 1 person can turn into 3, 4, 5, because, they will talk about you, and all of a sudden your show or your message is delivered to hundreds of people that you don't even know, right? So they will come that way, and you're making an impact even though you're not seeing it, right? So being aware of that, the number at that point, at the beginning, doesn't really matter. Now, if you're trying to say, oh, I got to get these numbers because I'm trying to get this brand deal, I'm trying to bring this in, at that point, you get those recordings and that information, and you start just going out there and just, hey, I got to get people, I got to get viewers in here. And then you're worried about that part at that time. But for me, when I first started in the pandemic, I did get some great viewers. Sometimes I even get just like 5, 10 viewers, and I'm still okay with it afterwards on the replay. I push that out. So my replay value is actually higher than on my show than my live viewers count.
Yeah, that's a good point too, because I remember when I was doing consistent lives throughout the month of January and doing several like 5-hour streams, the people I would stream with would just kind of like just make a light of the situation, because like we'd see there are like 2 people on Facebook, and we're like, oh, it's you and I, right? But we'll just like have a good time and chat and just have fun,
Mhm.
right? And then that content can be used, like you said, to repurpose it and things of that nature, right?
Mhm.
But eventually it catches on, and people take a liking to what you're doing, and then you
Yeah.
start to build your community, start to build your following. But there's so many different ways to just make light of the situation,
Mhm.
even in, like, like when there's like nobody watching and then you have like awkward silence, there's just like the sound effects. You could play the cricket sound effect and everything. Just make fun of it, and then it just becomes a normal thing.
But the thing about it too, and this my lead into the branding aspect of it. You're consistent with your live streams, and you show up giving the message all the time with whatever it is that aesthetically you're going to portray that you feel good about, and then other people will see it. For me personally, for my brand, there were people who saw the replay and then reached out to me and asked me, hey, how can I get my show that I want to do like yours? And then I will help them build a studio. I will help them with graphics. I tell them how to use Ecamm, or they come and we produce for them. And this is all with like a count of like a show, live show of 3 or 5, and then the replay. That's where that person got in there.
Yeah.
And we have gotten many other deals on that, based on that.
For sure.
That's amazing. Yeah. So like, don't look at the number. It's just not. It's probably not good for your mental health, and there's so many other factors. There's the replay, of course, and Jeff is saying repurposing lives is super important. People see your great guests and content and want to come to be a part. And like, Jeff is the master of this. If you see on his Twitter and Facebook and everywhere that you get these little snippets of the show, and you think, oh wow, that was really interesting. I wonder, like, when is it? I want to watch it next time. And you want to create a community, and that was what you said right at the start. Steve says this, totally agree. Build community first and while you are going live. So like, I'm sure you've seen this as well, live broadcasts. And I think the bigger brands seem to be guilty of this more than the smaller ones, but I've seen it across the board. They go live and they ignore the comments. They ignore the people watching them live. And so don't do that, involve your community. So we've got people watching us live. How can we then boost our engagement? And this is one of the things we were talking about when we were discussing about what we could talk about on this show. You were talking about tips and tricks to boost our engagement. So I'm just really interested in some of your ideas on this. So yeah, take it away.
And with that said, like, it's something that you just said, and then something I was thinking at the same time when you asked us, why do we like to go live, prefer going live, is the community engagement and the comments, right? So like, making sure that your audience is seen and feels seen, and you hear them and you acknowledge them. Like, Steve Worthy comes on the show. Hi, Steve Worthy. I acknowledged you, right? And the beauty of Ecamm is that you're able to pull those comments on the screen, right? And that's so fun. And that's actually fun, and it's engaging. It's actually fun for us too,
It is.
right? To actually to have the audience participating in your stream, and you're able to like have a comment appear and bring the comment on the screen as well and interact with it even further.
Yeah. And it's the comments are, because that's where you start building your community, right? You start like they're feeling acknowledged, they're feeling validated. Hey, I came in, they saw me. Sometimes when the comments are too fast, you can't really see it. So that's when, for example, for Facebook and the community, you can get back to it and then acknowledge them and engage with the comments if you didn't get a chance, because they are people and they have lives. So they're coming to your show and they're taking time out of their day to come and spend a couple of minutes with you, sometimes an hour. That is, that is something to appreciate, right? Because we are, with our time, depending on what our lives is like, is very, time is very valuable, right? And
I just want to sorry to butt in there, but I think that is such an important point. I just want to like reiterate that. If you think about it, we're so, some people are like, we're all so like desperate to get people to watch our live shows. But if you think about it, like spending a whole hour out of their day, there were only 24 hours in a day. And of course, like a lot of those were sleeping, they're spending a whole hour with you when they could be doing something else. So we've got we must respect that time, and it's fun and exciting to have these people on. But I just thought that was, I mean, it's kind of obvious, but so important. Thanks, Anna. Anyway, carry on.
Yeah. So that's basically like for acknowledging the audience. Like acknowledge your audience should be like one of the top ones there.
Yeah. And then another one is like something that it's kind of like a reiterating on what we were mentioning before. Is to like expect and accept when like mistakes or mishaps happen, right? For example, if we're muted or if there's a fly in the room or something like that, right? There's one thing to like make light of it, if you're going to mention something like that, or if audience member pointing out like, hey, you guys are on mute, right? And we can correct the situation, but just move on, right? It's like, don't let it beat you over the head. Like, oh my God, how could this happen? Like, we're muted and people will notice that, like you make that too obvious, and you kind of let it get in the way of the stream itself, and you let it get in the way of the connection you have with your audience because you're spending so much time on this issue versus focusing on your content.
Yeah, and you can make it a teachable moment at a time, and that will make them trust you even more. That it's okay, right? Like it's so yeah. You're a mute. How many times have you been muted? Right? How many times have you been muted? So it's like something that you can turn into an engagement.
Yeah, and it's great seeing like when it happens to us. And, for example, like during the Vlogmas period, right, where people were streaming and they were, talking about their takeaways and lessons learned and, something like that will happen to them. And they were like, it even happens to Ana and Fuljens. Like, oh, yeah, it does, so it happens to anybody, it happens to the best of us. So,
we're just lip syncing.
Yeah, just embrace those moments.
Well, I think you learn a lot, don't you, when things go wrong? I think I've got to the stage where I wouldn't say I like when things go wrong, but I like what I've learned from it. We'll put it that way, because then I can, like the system I've got now, like for example, if my camera sometimes decides to switch off, so I've now got a layer underneath it of my second camera. So if that turns off, then I can immediately turn to my left camera. And like if, I can't think of other examples, but I think I've learned along the way, I've learned that if things go wrong, then it's another thing that I can tweak to my whole system. And also it just shows that you're real. And like, I think I'm sure you find this too. And I'd love to hear from you watching live. When you watch like pre-recorded video where everyone on the video is like super perfect and it's been clipped and edited, I don't know, like it just feels like robotic and sometimes a bit boring. I find this particularly on Instagram stories. I want to connect with the real person. I want to feel like I'm actually connecting with a human being. So I think how important is that when it comes to engagement on a live show?
Oh, for sure. It's really important. You just have to, be yourself, be real and connect with them at that level. Because pre-recorded content has its own its own category. So it's just there's certain things that are, pre-recorded, and there's, staged, meaning because you have to plan the whole thing, right? The whole segments. And on live, you also have to plan the segments, but it's more free. Things happen. But when you're recording and something happens, you're going to pause that. You're going to redo it again until you get it like the way you want to. And that's where it comes like coming out as perfect and all of these.
And then you made a good point, Ian, about some of them like seeming like they're like robotic, but also some of them seem like very like cookie cutter. It's like we muted ourselves by accident. Some of them seem like a very like cookie cutter, or like following a particular template, and that's the beauty also of like being live, because it's organic, right? You don't have those luxuries, if you will, of following a cookie cutter template.
So what would have happened? So let's go for this, right? So we were live, and there was this fly just freaking out, like it was just like on the lens,
it went inside of the light box, like behind the diffuser.
And we were live, so we're like, you know what? And then all of a sudden, the fly turned into this huge engagement where it leaked out of the stream, and then after days, people were talking about the fly.
Yeah.
But bring it back to pre-recorded. we would have stopped that. We would have killed the fly,
Edit
come
all that
back.
stuff out,
Yeah. So yeah,
That's a good point.
Mhm.
And we'd missed the whole story of the fly. That would be so sad. Yeah.
This thing turned into something else, Ian. I'm telling you, like there were fly puns, and there's someone in our community, Keith Pelzer. He has what's called like the bug assault gun. It's like a salt gun that you could kill flies with. I ended up buying one.
You only used it like 2 times
because the flies learned their lesson. They stopped coming after I bought the salt gun. But then Keith then in return created more content out of that. So he created a video featuring the gun and featuring a picture of me with the salt gun and stuff like that. And this thing spilled into like 2 weeks of content. Yeah. Just from that one stream.
Funny. I think there is a horror movie called The Fly, isn't there? I don't think.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh! That's
you probably have seen it.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah, I think he doesn't. He kind of like he kind of combines with a fly or something, and it becomes like this massive human fly. Anyway, let's not talk about that. Like one thing, so I think that's great, and to embrace the mistakes and laugh at yourself. Laughter is so important, and that's one of the things that I love about your show. You're always laughing and having fun, and we need a bit of that in our lives. I think a lot of the time, particularly during the pandemic, we did. But like other things that we can do as well as that, for example, questions. So I've done. For some of the big conferences, bigger virtual events, what we've done is we've put questions on the screen, particularly at the beginning, to get engagement. So podcast viewers probably won't be able to see this, but it would be something like this. With a little countdown timer, and we can ask questions like that. Or there was one time when I think, we were going to get an Amazon delivery, and my wife and the kids were out, and this was a really important Amazon delivery, and I was going live, and I said, "But I'm going live, Helen. I can't go to the door." She said, "But you need to." So I thought, okay. So I got ready, and I got this little intermission slide going in Ecamm. So if like halfway through I said, sorry guys, I've got to go to the door, so I put that on just as a bit of fun. Now, so are there any tips, like I don't know whether those are probably like silly examples, but are there any other things that we could do to kind of like help with engagement or to have fun on our live shows?
Yeah, definitely. Just a current event or games, playing games or talking about current events that relate to you and your show and your viewers, because you got to know about your viewers. You're going to know your viewers to know what kind of jokes it will be well received with them, or what kind of current events you can bring to their, to the table when you are with them. But one of the things for us, because Fuljens is from Haiti and I'm from the Dominican Republic. So, but even though we're like neighbors, there are different things that we do different. What is that called? Different. It's not culture. I mean, different.
Yeah.
Okay. Different things, right? So for example, we were getting ready for the show, and we were just talking it over and stuff like that. And then it comes to me, I'm talking about a spoon, and I'm like, "Hey, Fuljens, so do you break ice with a spoon?" And he's like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, like get a block of ice and break it with a spoon. And he's like, "No, we used a pick." And I'm like, "What is a pick?" So he's like, he's using a pick to break the ice, and I used a spoon to break the ice. So he was a little bougie over there, and me, I just was resourceful. I need a spoon, I'm gonna break that ice. So he's like, "Nah, other people don't do that." So we brought it to the live that same day, and we say, "Okay, how many of you break the ice, literally, right, with a spoon or with a pick?" And that was another one that went pretty well for engagement.
Yeah, people went live eating rice with spoons and all kind of stuff after that question. But
that was another one though, because I eat rice with a spoon and Fuljens eats it with a fork. So we're like, how many of you eat rice with a spoon?
Yeah. And that created something. But like, there's so much you can do, with engagement.
But wait. Ian, do you eat rice with a spoon or with a fork?
Well, are we talking about? Like, what kind of dish would this be? Like a savory dish? So not like a
Like
not
a-
like rice pudding, not a yeah. So it would be a fork, yeah.
You have a fork, you see? So you're a fork rice eater. I am a spoon rice eater.
Unless it was like Chinese, and because I don't like, I'd love to like do chopsticks, but I just can't. So like sometimes I will have a spoon with Chinese. Does that kind of count?
Okay.
Got it. Got it.
If we're getting really
Yes, it
specific
counts.
now, you did ask. You did ask.
Yeah. So
No, I was gonna say like there's so much you can do with engagement questions. So for example, with Ecamm, we like to do like Ecamm trivia, so people know about the software, you know, like different controls and commands and everything like that. So and then if they did not know, that's a good learning experience for them. And that could be with any software that someone is using, right? Like it could be with StreamYard, because I'm pretty sure there's like different controls for StreamYard, and you could do StreamYard trivia, so that is a really good engagement thing. And so there's so many different ways.
Yeah.
And what we do is like we like to just use the text overlays in Ecamm, just to lay out our questions and our colors and everything like that, just like Ian just showed it.
Yeah, in fact, I think I got some inspiration from you guys from those countdown timers, and I haven't really used them yet, but it's just something that I thought, I think just asking questions and getting some involvement is good. And if you've got a budget with this, you could even do a giveaway as well. So that's something fun if you have some merch, or it doesn't even have to be something physical. It could be something that you can like free consultation or something like that. So
sure.
This Katie's saying some great things here. So Katie says, embrace the mistakes. Luria Patrici says, embrace your flaws too. And don't be a cookie cutter. And I think this is hilarious. Katie also says, don't kill the fly when live, but do when pre-recorded.
Yes. Great takeaway.
That is great. I think we need that as a t-shirt. I think we definitely do. The Futurist watching on YouTube says, great show, man. And Katie is saying on YouTube, Ana and Fuljens made a cool BRB scene for Ecamm fam. So, be right back. Yeah. So
Be right back. Yeah.
Oh yes. So I think that's a good moment to move on to the whole branding side of things, because you do amazing things, like because Ecamm Live is amazing. And all live tools have their pros and cons, but they never do like everything. But you managed to kind of, out of Ecamm Live, do some like crazy things like with kind of weird characters and stuff like that. And I think one of the important things about branding, would you not agree, is that it sets you apart. And if people are like going down the feed and Facebook and things like that, if you can stop them in the feed because you're doing something that's different or it looks more professional or cool, then that's a good thing. But tell us a little bit more about like why we should be bothered with branding, and then kind of tell us a little bit more about what you look at and what you focus on your live shows.
Yeah. So we should be, just like you mentioned, Ian, having someone, stop at your feed, stop at your show because you're doing something different. So when they're first scrolling, the audio is off. They can't see anything. So it's all going to be all about visuals, right? So once they click on the visual, then you got the audio. So you make sure you get that there, right? But the visuals, if everything is looking the same, that they see, and it's just the same layouts, the same, for example, whether it was a trend that the background had to be kind of busy and animated and things like that. That's something that people at the beginning will be like, oh my gosh, it looks so great. And then they will continue to see the same thing. And it's like, okay, I already see that. Let me see something else. So if you're looking at that trend and you're seeing that everybody's doing it, that's the time for you to do something different. That's the time for you to try something different, because they have already seen all the flashy and all the going on, or whatever it is, whether it is a static or minimalistic. If that's the trend, then you go the opposite way with a little twist, right? So you can add it and then a little twist. And that is when they are looking at you, if that's what you do, that is what your branding is, trying to do something different and look different than what's happening out there, they will say, let me see what's going on with, for example, Ana and Fuljens. Let's see what they're doing, because they're usually doing things differently, right? So then that's your branding. So then when people want to see something different, they're going to be like, okay, let me go to so-and-so, let me go to Ana and Fuljens, let me try some other person. And then that's when you establish yourself as like, okay, let's go for it. So
yeah, and again, it's like stepping away from the cookie cutter-ness, right? Because everybody, well, not everyone, but there are particular templates or particular overlays that you see, and everyone's using the same thing, or they're downloading the same ones, where this is your opportunity to make it your own with your own, your branded colors and, your customized lower thirds, and just, and it's like you're the brand, you're the message, but now here's your chance to amplify your message by making something look like it's part of your own, right?
Yeah. And that's something that we do a lot of Building Blocks when we're designing. We design a template, and then with an Ecamm, this is why it's so cool for us, and it's so flexible, because you can brand it with your colors. You can bring in your logo and place your logo any other place that you want to. It doesn't have to be the way we deliver it or the way we designed it. You can take and change the colors. You can move the shapes from one end to another. You don't have to go to Canva to do that, or you don't have to buy a new template to change that. You can move the camera overlay and just make it your own. Make it that it says it's you. Your branding is you. Is it what you like? Is it? Are you going for minimalistic? Are you going for edgy? Are you going for anti-design? Whatever it is, right? You make it your own, and this is why we teach at Building Blocks how you can just manipulate the designs.
Right. And sometimes, like, we'll have some designs that we'll make free on Buy Me a Coffee, and people will download it. And, like, for example, if we upload it with just standard blue and white, for example, right? And you just see how different it looks when, depending on how each person customizes it to their own brand or to their own type of show. Like, there's somebody who's doing a show on cryptocurrency, and they added, like, some like emojis to, imitate the stock market, and there's somebody who does like stuff that's in the Caribbean, and it's like his colors are more vibrant, and it just looks like a completely different overlay.
For real, it looks completely different because they took the template, but then they added their colors. They moved they replaced one thing that we had there for the crypto, like Fuljens said, and then another one replaced it with some colors that is for them, and some emojis. So it's just about you and the way you want to show up.
Yep.
In your branding.
Definitely. And I've got the Buy Me a Coffee link there.
Look at you.
So I was just looking for it, because do check out Ana and Fuljens Buy Me a Coffee link. It's buymeacoffee.com/Ana and Fuljens, and that's ANA and then FULJENS. Do check that. And of course, all of this will be in the show notes, which it will be at iag.me/164. So you do, like, I think we need to get into the nitty gritty here. Like, what can you tell us, like, some of the stuff that you actually do in Ecamm, and maybe you can show us some practical examples, because I know you got Ecamm. You're using Ecamm at the moment, so maybe you can tell us some of the kind of things that we can do to stand out.
Yeah, for example, so maybe we can just show that like the ENN.
Okay.
Yeah. So we have a particular scene here for our Ecamm Network news. So that's what we use every Monday night in the Ecamm Live channel. And this is what it looks like if this.
Yeah.
Oh, this is actually an older version.
That's because we're on the other profile.
Okay.
But this is good. This is good too. We're showing this, but he wants to go elaborate. Please hold.
Is it the one ENN? This one? Okay. So we'll just show this one, a most recent one here.
We're changing profiles.
All right. So this looks more like it, and we'll go to the main scene here. Right. So this is what you can do. Right. And, at first glance, you would think that, this is a template that was brought in or pre-designed in like on a Canva or Keynote, but these are all text boxes.
Yeah.
And
you might want to, if you just want to explain what's on the screen just for podcast listeners, because this is this is amazing. Because this is not, I don't think you've used Canva. This is all text. Is that right? And maybe
this is all text.
Yeah. So maybe explain what's on the screen and how it's all put together.
Right. So for those who are listening in, if you're familiar with like, the designs that you would see on the news, right? Let's say rectangles and shapes, and you have like text that's on those rectangles. Like let's say you're watching CNN or NBC or whatever your news of choice is. So we actually have a lower third that looks like you're on the news. And these are rectangles that we're using, that we just created these rectangles inside of Ecamm, right? And we also have text overlays, right? So on the text we have welcome to ENN Ecamm fam. We have our names and our titles and Ecamm Network news. And then also too with Ecamm you have overlays such as the timer, so you could have a clock coming in. So right now it's showing 11:50 a.m. On in our time zone. And we also had an overlay for the weather. So you also have a scrolling ticker. So you could add information and have it scroll at the bottom of the screen or anywhere on the screen that you want to. So the possibilities are endless here. And for example, we can do something like this, right? We can make the text disappear. And if you want like a cleaner interface, so now we remove the rectangles and we left like one rectangle in the scrolling ticker to give it a different look, but to keep it on brand with the same colors and the same design.
Mm-hmm. And look at how different that looks and
Yeah.
how simple. So we use this screen usually for comments. So we would just
Right.
take that one rectangle, that one information off, and then we have this beautiful layout, just the same in the
Yeah.
same scene
Yeah,
nonetheless.
that's a great point, because like when we're designing these templates and thinking about staying on brand, but we also think about live audience engagement. So when we have this like elaborate news lower third here, it doesn't leave much room to bring the comments on the screen, because we always want that element as part of our live shows. So we did another design here where we removed that rectangle but kept the Ecamm Network news in the orange, and then now we have plenty of space on my side here to bring the comments right below me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, that's great. And so are those like two different scenes, or are they just different overlays that you're switching between?
There to make it easier for us, is two different scenes. Of course, you can do them in two different overlays and whatnot, but if you have them laid out in the scenes, it's a lot more easier to navigate, especially when you have like different folders and text overlays going on. So to have them separate in different scenes is a lot more user friendly.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that is cool. And so, yeah, you can do some of this in a lot of live video tools. There are some web-based tools like StreamYard and Restream are reasonably restrictive. There's Wave Video, you can do a lot more, and there's also EVMux is a new one which gives you a lot more flexibility. But to be honest, if you want to do what Ana and Fuljens are doing, you need a tool like Ecamm. You can probably do it on OBS and vMix, but obviously we just love the flexibility and the creative side of what you can do in Ecamm. So that's awesome. Now, the other things that, so I think part of how you did that, am I right, is playing around with transparent text backgrounds, and I know you played around with like special characters as well. So could you maybe just go through some of those ideas? And I just love the way you just keep things really like super simple, and you're doing everything within Ecamm, and you're not having to load up Canva or, dare I say, Photoshop.
Yeah, so that's how we ourselves would go, okay, because we want to guide it towards beginners as well as advanced. So there have been some elaborate designs made with text overlays from our community. We had a challenge that we did, challenging the community to use text overlays to design. And there were some that were simple, and there were other ones that, holy mother of God, like we're like, what?
Yeah.
Like us ourselves, we're saying that. So it's basically text boxes. So because that's what the signs are, right? When you see the signs, they're shapes. So you just stack shapes on top of each other, see what you like. So for example, if you see a news channel, if you see your favorite show and you're like, oh my gosh, I like that overlay or I like that lower third, you can just take a screenshot of it and then you go and you check what shapes are in there.
Yeah.
Right. So if there's a rectangle, thin line, or circle or whatever, now you go putting those together. Right. So that's like reminds us of building blocks. So when you were little and you're having all these things and they say, put this shapes in here.
Put them together. Yeah. And then the beauty of Ecamm, because I know other softwares do it, but some softwares, particular softwares, don't allow this, is that when you type, like, let's say you just type the word text, and then you put a text box around it, and you could change the color of that box around it or the background, right? You could change the background color. The beauty of Ecamm is that word text, you can just bring the opacity down to 0 and make that font completely transparent. And now you're just left with that box, and that was basically the mind-blowing moment. Like, oh my God, we have a rectangle. Oh my God, we have a square. And then Ecamm lets you stretch it out and manipulate it however you want. It could basically fill up the entire screen, know. So that is the beauty of using the text boxes and the text overlays, in addition to the emoji keyboard.
Oh my gosh.
Right? Because the emoji keyboard, it also, which is like native to, your Mac OS, right? So the emoji keyboard also has, have the standard emojis, but you also have the wingdings and the bullet points and pictographs and everything like that. And they're just like a standard white color. You could change the color of them. You could stretch them around, and you can add those to your lower thirds or to your designs, to your backgrounds and whatnot, and animate them. Scrolling ticker, flying from the left, flying from all different directions as well.
You can absolutely create your design inside of Ecamm. For example, you buy Ecamm, for example, right? If you buy Ecamm today, or just you're like, okay, let me try this. You can go on, open it up, and start designing very easy, just with putting the shapes together. And then one of the things that we really emphasize is, how you lower the opacity on the word text. We encourage everyone to write what it is, so that and where it's going to go. So for example, instead of text, you're going to write lower third body. Lower the opacity, because what that does is in the overlays panel, it shows you the name of what you're designing. So if you have to switch layers, you know exactly where to go. So that's like one of the main things and the most important thing, because the other softwares that don't allow you to do that
is to organize them in the folders, right? So in addition to what Ana mentioned, like you type in rectangle, you type in square, and then make the shape and everything like that. So okay, I want to change this white rectangle. Okay, it's the word rectangle here because that's what I named it, right? But you could also group them into folders. This way you can move them around. You could hide everything at once. It's so beautiful that you can organize these things and you're not so confused going back, trying to edit it. Or, let's say we make a free design available for, the community in the Buy Me a Coffee. They know exactly where to go to change the colors, right? And make it their own because it's all organized in those folders in Ecamm. And the beauty of that is, like, these are not pro features, right? It's like these are just like
exactly the standard feature, because it's text overlays. So it's like, mostly when people first purchase the software, they do their names, which is what I used to do. I just do the name, and then it's like, okay, so change the corners, all right, and that's all it wrote, right? That's it. But there's more to it than that, and it is on the standard version, just like
it's all about your creativity.
So awesome. But by the way, this show is not sponsored by Ecamm. We just love it. I'm doing like a really bad job of looking at the comments, and I've just seen that Paul from Vancouver is here. Great to see you, Paul. Hope you're doing well. And you're saying, agree with this 100%. I work in a crowded niche and have always sought to differentiate. Definitely. And Steve is also saying, yes, indeed, I can confirm that Ana and Fuljens are the truth with custom overlays. And it is absolutely true, because like you guys have been an inspiration to me. I mean, if I go into live demo mode, I'll try and explain this to podcast listeners. But you inspired me to do this with I've got all these folders now.
Yes.
And so I've got so what you can do in Ecamm, you can have at the top, you can have these will appear on all scenes that you go on. So for example, I could I don't know, I could put so I've got the logo there, or I could do a countdown. Actually that's not a good example. A colored overlay. Let's look at some of these colored overlays. So I've got a full screen one. Let's do the red one there. And then if I change the scene now, so if I go back to you, this will always appear there, which is cool. Now, how do I actually get rid of that? There we go. And so actually organizing them in folders is really important, even when it comes down to cameras and overlays. And I felt so geeky doing this, but it gave me so much joy. How sad is that?
Yes, it's like an excitement. It's like a sense of calmness when you have everything organized.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the who is that? Is it Marie Kondo who comes and declutters your house? Is that you know that on Netflix? It almost feels like it's that method in Ecamm Live. I think, and it does when you go live. Just knowing where everything is, it just does give you that sense of calm, and then you can focus on what's really important. So we've talked about branding, engagement, and we've talked about organization. There's so much more that we could talk about, but the best thing I would recommend that you do is just to go and watch Ana and Fuljens on their shows. You've got two shows. The Building Blocks show is one that I particularly enjoy because you spend a lot of time going into the details and showing, and you actually give practical examples of how you do this. So maybe tell us how can we find out more about you? Where can we follow you and stalk you in a nice way on the socials and on YouTube and everywhere, and find out more about you?
Yes, absolutely. So on YouTube, you can find us for our Building Block streams every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Or you can just check out all of our playlists of all of our tutorials that are available. That's youtube.com/Ana and Fuljens, right? And if you want to dive deeper and join our Facebook community, search for the Facebook group, Ana and Fuljens on Facebook. This way you can go live anytime that you want, ask questions, design your lower thirds and things of that nature, and interact. So we're a family oriented Facebook community. And, we also on Instagram at Ana and Fuljens as well. And as Ian mentioned, we have our buymeacoffee.com/Ana and Fuljens.
Yes.
That's awesome. Well, all of those links.
And if you right, and then if you still need to find more stuff out, you can go to on Mondays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We are on the Ecamm Network on LinkedIn, on YouTube, and on the Facebook community, Ecamm Live. And that's where we update on what's happening in the community, what Ecamm has coming up in terms of masterclasses, events, when the next meetup is going to be, and things like that. So,
yes. And that's every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Which is great. I'd probably be in bed at that time, but you can always watch the replay, which is great. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all of that. But you just have to come back on the show because there's so much more we can talk about.
Love it.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Ana and Fuljens. It's been great to have you on. But that is it for this week. As I said, next week, we're embracing Web 3.0, the metaverse, NFTs, cryptocurrency. What on earth has that got to do with business and marketing and live video? Why should we bother with this? Is this like the emperor's new clothes? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about. And I'm excited about looking at that with you. And I'd love to know what you think about all of that. But that is it for this week. And until next time, I encourage you to level up your impact, authority, and profits to the power of live video. See you soon. Bye.
Thanks for watching the Confident Live Marketing Show with Ian Anderson Gray.
Make sure you subscribe at iag.me/podcast so you can continue to level up your impact, authority, and profits through the power of live video.
And until next time,
Toodaloo.